All right, let me move my camera here, and we'll just keep it down here actually. Cool. So, lesson two, stage three, Power Playbook Community. Welcome. For this lesson, we are going to be discussing your mindset going into understanding physical training and fitness and health, how to fix your body, as well as goal setting, how to approach the task of getting fit. So, as I mentioned in the previous video, with my 7 years of experience in the fitness industry, the first thing that I always recommend or instruct or just give tips about to my friends or people that I'm working with as far as getting fit goes is you need to understand where you currently stand, excuse me, and what your actual goal is for your fitness journey. So not everybody's goal is the same, right? Some people are super into this certain sector of the fitness industry, like maybe MMA, or they are currently an athlete for a school. You play football, baseball, whatever. Some people are overweight and need to learn how to lose weight. Some people are underweight, which is a real thing. That was me for a portion of my life as well, getting pretty skinny, and their goal is to gain some weight. So fitness is not a. I mean, there's certain nutrition is kind of the same all around, but as far as the application for fitness concepts, it's not always just a one size fits all. Let's just have everybody do the same thing kind of deal. So that's why the first real content lesson for this series in fitness is going to be about goal setting and how you can train your mindset to actually have this be worth your time. So we'll go to the next slide. I'll move this over. Okay, for today's content, we'll have some slides about the mindset required to be fit. We're going to kind of dive back into, if you can remember, some of your training from stage one with Caleb on fixing your mind. Then we're going to go into establishing your why. And if you've never heard that phrase said before, I'm going to give you an example of a place that's extremely common. Then we're going to go into understanding what your personal objective is. Then how to set a goal so you'll achieve it. And then what your first actionable steps are. We're going to go through those. So that said, let's get right into it. Fitness mindset. Like I mentioned a second ago, for you to be successful in your fitness endeavors, you need to know where you stand currently. So, are you overweight? Are you underweight? Do you have a certain goal in fitness as far as like being better athletically? Do you want to be kind of follow into the bodybuilding sector of the fitness industry? Do you want to fall into powerlifting? And if you don't even know, if you're just really like at stage zero and all you know is that one, well, basically you listen to lesson one, that you know it's important for yourself to be fit. You know it's important for your success. And if all you know is that you just want to be more fit, that's just fine as well. That's kind of the baseline of knowledge that we assume when I made this 10 lesson series on fitness. So if that's you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what exactly it is that defines your success or where exactly you stand as far as your knowledge on fitness and health. But as long as you understand where you are, you're setting yourself up to be achieving better goals, loftier goals perhaps. But I guess I should say goals that make more sense for you. Let's call it that. Moving on. Recall your preparation. I'm going to bring up the fixed versus growth mindset thing again that I mentioned in lesson one and that was taught to you in stage one. So fitness is, for you to become fit, is going to take hours, days, potentially years, potentially a decade. I'm pushing up on a decade here, and still haven't achieved all that I want to in fitness. But it doesn't matter because as long as you can embody the growth mindset concept, where maybe you're not where you want to be right now, but you understand that there is always an option for you to take control of your situation and grow from that, grow from the struggles and trials that present themselves along the way, and that you don't just have to let life pass you by. Then it helps you to understand that maybe today I don't feel the greatest, so I don't really want to go work out. I feel tired. I don't feel like I have achieved all that I want to. It doesn't matter. Your growth mindset allows you to push through whatever challenges and struggles you might face that day, and realize that this is going to be a long process. And if I'm going to make it, I'm going to have to endure through some days in which I don't really want to go through the training that I need to. But, you're going to have to do it anyways. So recall your preparation. Preparation being the mindset training you had taught by Caleb in stage 1. And then also you need to commit to achieving. If you're going to, like I can't stress this enough, you're not going to become fit or even close to achieving your fitness goals, whatever it is. Even if your goal is just, I want to be able to do, a baseline amount of push-ups, pull-ups, bodyweight exercises so that I can be more prepared for, to be having children one day so I can lift them in the air. Whatever it is, random example, but whatever it is, you are not going to achieve that in one day, overnight. You're going to have to commit to achieving small goals, setting small goals, and achieving them, over a span of an indefinite amount of time, really. Because at no point should you, unless you get super hurt and you got to recover, something like that. But at no point should you ever stop chasing a fitness goal, right? So you have to commit yourself to achieving, and that will feel good the more you do it. So it's kind of a cycle that stacks on itself, ends up being a good thing for you. But then that leaves a question for us at the bottom. Will motivation alone be enough? So as you're watching these videos, if you're going through the training and you feel super motivated, right? You're getting this lesson on, I got to get in the gym. There's our moderators, Anthony Parra, he's telling me in the chat all the time, what have you done today, right? And that makes you motivated. But is that enough for you long term? Probably not. It's going to have to dive more into the discipline side of things. From the way you think about fitness instead of just relying on somebody else telling you it needs to happen. And so that fires you up for a sec, but then you don't actually go out and achieve. So tying it back in, going out and achieve relies on you and your commitment to achieving the goals you set for yourself. So leads me into establishing your why. Why being, so I guess let me just back up. Let me explain this concept to you. Your why likely could be, so your why for fitness, I apologize. Let me back up even further. Your why is the reason you do something. Okay. So the why, establishing your why in this context is like, why are you pushing for a fitness goal? Why are you pushing to better yourself physically, to keep up on your health? Why is that something you're interested in? Now, lesson 1 was kind of, a brief explanation as to why in general you should care about this, but you personally, it's important for you to understand your why. And let me tell you why that is. So with an example from my time in the military, going through basic military training, and I'm going to parallel that to life. That was something, it's a concept that I'd never heard of until I went to basic training. And, those days you're waking up 5 a.m., you went to sleep at 10 because you're messing around with the boys at night, just trying to shine your shoes, do something. You get up at 5 a.m. To just screaming, banging on doors, lots of noises being made. People, your trainers making a mess of your room just for the sake of doing it, and then blaming you for the problem. Lots of great memories there, but at times it sucked, right? And then you're going through whatever courses you have for the day. You're going through your training day in, day out, hour after hour, and it's not exactly the most enjoyable thing a lot of the times. But what they do is they'll take time to ask you, like, what is your why? Why did you even come here? Why are you interested in finishing this? Why do you keep pushing yourself even though we're trying our hardest to tear you down? And the reason for that is because if you can focus on in the moment of struggle, in a moment of strife, when you want nothing else but for this pain to go away, if you can focus on why you're there in the first place, that'll help you to push through. It'll help you to put things into perspective enough for you to understand, okay, I want this to end in the moment. Having it end in the moment would be an end to a dream that I once had that put me in this position, right? So for me, it was, I wanted to be in the military since I was a kid, right? And so I'm here because I want to make a younger version of myself proud. I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted to make my girlfriend at the time proud. Whatever it was, whatever it is for you, you need to be able to take the reason in which you started and make that your motivation, your part of your discipline for pushing through the times in which you don't want to be pushing through. So I hope that's a good example for you guys to take and parallel that to your own life. But you also need to understand when establishing your why, if that's something you're struggling with, it's like, well, I kind of just live on my own. My parents don't really care if I'm, physically fit or if I'm making a lot of money. Well, then what truly is important to you? Is it your time, the values you hold? Maybe you're religious or not, or you just believe in being a good, honest person. Is it effort? Do you appreciate a good work ethic? So, excuse me, if one of those things is true, if you value, a good hard work ethic, and that becomes your why, that could become your why, because it's important to you. It's like it can be that simple, right? It's like, why are you day in, day out doing things other people otherwise would not be willing to do to keep yourself physically fit? Why are you eating proper meals all the time? Why are you going to the effort of drinking all this water? Why are you going to the effort of prioritizing your sleep over playing Fortnite with your friends? Um, you know, it's because it's important to you, and that's a good enough why to start with. It's a good enough why to keep you going when you otherwise would not want to. Another way you can do this is imagine your peak self. So, no kidding, like if you guys actually want to pause this video right now and just think about what does my peak physiological self look like, or not even that peak self, like I've made this business that I've always told people I'm going to start. I've finally achieved this fitness goal. I'm looking good. I'm looking ripped and shredded. People want to be around me. Imagine your peak self. Okay, write that down. I'm actually encouraging you guys. If you got your note taker on you, write down a sentence or two that describes what your peak self would be, and then compare it to what you are now. And if there is even a slight difference, and I guarantee there should always be, a slight difference, because the more you improve, the more room for improvement there is on top of what you've already done, right? I highly doubt that if you're in the Power Playbook community, you're just considering yourself to be peak already. So whatever the difference is, make that your why. It's like I need to push through this workout because I'm not where I want to be yet, right? And that is a perfectly valid reason to be pushing through the difficult times that you don't want to. That's also kind of a motivation just in general. It's like, oh, well, I if I don't do this now, I will regret down the line all the time I wasted because I could have made it happen, right? So it's just like kind of a what are you waiting for kind of deal, right? And all three of those points kind of just set a foundation for difficult times. I've already brought that up a few times. Don't need to harp on it more. But knowing your why helps you in the moment with your perception of what's actually going on. Helps put it into perspective, rather. That what you're doing is actually worth the pain you're going through in the moment, and that's extremely crucial for fitness concepts. But all right, so that said, you're well motivated, you're well disciplined. You know what your why is. Okay, so now what is it I'm actually trying to achieve? You got to understand your objective. So look back to your peak self that you just wrote down in your note taker. Is that person heavier or lighter than you currently are? Is that person better at a certain task? Is that person more can endure longer distance running? Can that person lift more? Is that person better at mixed martial arts? Is that person a better football athlete? Remember your peak self, and think, what do they do that you currently don't? So to get to that point, let's say for the sake of example, you wanted to be a better football player. Let's say that your goal, your why is because I want to make it to the NFL, and currently I'm just I'm in high school applying to be, going to a D1 school to play football, or maybe you're already at the D1 school, it doesn't matter. What does that pro athlete do currently that you don't? Is their training regimen more intense? Do they do more training regimens? Do they do more training sessions in their regimen per week than you do? What other habits do they have? Do they wake up early? Do they stay up late playing games? Do they prioritize sleep? Do they have a better diet than you do? And these are kind of you can kind of apply these concepts to really any of the stages that we're teaching you in the Power Playbook community. But for the sake of it being stage 3, fix your body, focus on fitness, just think physically, what is that peak version of yourself doing every day that you are not? So what does their training look like? Their fitness habits, what they're eating, how much water they're drinking. How do they look? Are they more lean? Are they more athletic? Do they have more size on them? Or does that even matter to you? Is aesthetics the way you look? And that's a huge motivator, actually, in the fitness industry. There's a lot of people that train purely for aesthetics, and that's just fine. And a lot of people want to say, "Oh, that's vain of you. You're just so self-conceited because you just want to look good." Well, it's like, just think back to Socrates' quote, right? It's like it's a shame for a man to not ever see the beauty of which his body's potential. The human body is a beautiful thing. It's an amazing thing, really, in very intricate system of other systems that put together to be what we know as the human body, or your body, right? So it's okay if you want to be looking better, but does that matter to you how you look? It doesn't have to. But if there is a significant difference, a noticeable difference between the way your peak self, the best version you can imagine of yourself looks, and you currently, um, then there needs to be a change, right? So that's going to help you to understand your objective, because if you see, your peak self being, we'll say for example, uh, had put on more size than you currently have, is a lot more, is bigger, more muscular, then that's your objective. Your objective is to gain lean muscle mass, and with that's going to come some strength, right? So take this. Actually, let's talk about that last point as well. What do you want to be capable of? Do you want to, you know, be able to pass a certain fitness test because you want to, join some branch of the military? Do you want to be able to work in some specific sector of some, career field that requires you to be on your feet a lot? So you want to be able to have a greater endurance capability. Do you want to, be a stronger father figure for, your family, right? You want to be able to play with your children longer, or as they grow older, be able to do more fun things with them, like that are pertain to their age, because not every kid at 1 years old can throw a baseball. It's like, do you want to be able to throw a baseball far with your kid one day? It's like these are all just really niche examples, but the point is to get you to think, you know, what what do I want to be able to do? How do I want to look? What do I want to be capable of? What does my training, my habits kind of look like in the future? And the goal of this slide is to take all of those things into consideration and come up with 1 to 2 objectives. Mainly trying to do one. If your objective purely is just get more fit, that's fine for an objective. For a goal, not really. We'll explain that in the next slide. But for an objective, I just want you to consider these 3 points. You know, what it is you want to achieve one day, and that there is your objective. And now that you have an objective, you are then equipped to go and make a goal for yourself. Because an objective is just an idea, something you'd like to achieve, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not taking actionable steps towards it, right? So that leads us into how to set goals you'll achieve. Let me move this camera. That's all good. Okay, so you have your objective. That is the basis for setting a goal. And if you've never heard of what a SMART goal is, they're very popular in the business industry, just industries in general. Business industry is a dumb thing to say, but fitness industry, any firm you can go work for is using SMART goals because they have goals for their annual amount of profits versus their revenues, right? It's like there's a million ways to use this, but in the context of fitness, we're going to be applying some SMART goals today to utilizing the baseline of your objective to create a SMART goal. Okay. So what does SMART goal mean? What is a SMART goal? Well, SMART is actually an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Okay. So a goal, what does this mean? This means that if you're setting a SMART goal, the goal that you are setting is specific. It's not just like, I want to be fit. It's like, okay, that's not very specific. That's extremely vague, actually. So a specific goal would be, I want to I want to become stronger in my 3 main lifts, like your 3 main compound lifts, like bench press, deadlift, squat. It's okay, it's pretty specific. Is that measurable? A measurable goal has a number attached to it, or we'll just keep that a number. So it has a number attached to it, right? That says, I'm going to go from my current ability on bench press being 100 pounds to I'm going to increase that to 200 pounds in this whatever specific timeline. So now that you have specific and measurable, you want to move into achievable, which means, is this even realistically achievable for you? Is it achievable for you who currently benches 100 pounds to bench 700 pounds in a year span? Probably not. Probably not unless you're taking a ridiculous amount of performance enhancing drugs, and I would never recommend that to anybody, especially if you're just starting out in the fitness industry. So they need to be specific, measurable, achievable, something you actually can achieve realistically, relevant. So is getting your kill to death ratio on Black Ops 6, which just dropped, up, is that really relevant to your fitness and standards? Probably not. So what's an example of something that is relevant? Well, it doesn't have to be directly related to bench press. We'll just keep going with the example of getting your bench press up, but it doesn't have to be specifically exactly like having to do with bench press. It could be like, my goal is to eat X amount of calories in a day so that I can ensure my body is growing and recovering. That's relevant to the goal of increasing your bench press because they are related, right? They go hand in hand. If you want to gain some muscle mass and size, you have to be eating more than you burn in a day. That's relevant. And the last one we got is timely. So you want to be careful, one, to include, a time frame for your goals, but also that you're in a realistic timeline for your goals. So it might be, let's think back to the bench press example. It might be achievable for you to increase your bench press from 100 pounds to 200 pounds. But is that a timely goal to say, I'm going to do it in 1 week versus I'm going to do that over the course of a year? And that could subjectively depend on your current level of fitness and your ability, right? So if you're training every day anyways, your body's kind of used to a more intense style of training, maybe that's achievable to do it in less time than a year. But if you're just brand new, maybe it's not. Maybe a timely goal for you to increase your bench press would be up to a year. So those are the five core tenets, we'll call them, of the SMART acronym, 5 letters that matter. So when you're creating a goal, you're going to take your objective, and you can actually pause this video right now as well too, and just do this because you should have written an objective. Well, I guess I didn't tell you to write an objective. If you haven't written an objective yet or thought about it, I guess you don't have to do it right now. But before you move on to the next lesson, let's have you at some point either pause it now or do it at the end of this video. Come up with your objective. Think about your why. Think about the things we talked about that help you develop an objective. It could be anything from like, I am overweight and I want to lose weight. That's a great objective. So now let's make that into a SMART goal. Let's actually just do an example right now. If you are overweight and your objective is to lose weight, a SMART goal to lose weight would be specifically, I want to decrease my weight by 50 pounds. And that goes into, so your specificity is I want to decrease my weight. That's very specific. It's not just I want to be more fit. Okay, by 50 pounds means it's measurable. Achievable, definitely achievable if you are overweight. If you're only overweight by 5 pounds, obviously that's not achievable. But if you're overweight by 70 pounds and you want to lose 50, that's achievable, okay? Relevant, that's directly to the source. You want to lose weight, lose 50 pounds, that's exactly relevant. Timely, let's say I want to lose 50 pounds by March of next year. I guess that's only like 4 months from now. Maybe that's timely or not. It could be. If you are brand new to the gym, maybe it takes you until June, whatever it is. But do you see how the application of, your objective into a SMART goal plays out? I hope that makes sense for you guys. If it doesn't, go back and watch the previous slide, this one, or just message in the chat, hey, Para, help me come up with this SMART goal for myself based off my objective, and I'll be happy to do so. Then I have this note over here on the side by my camera that says, how many goals can you actively pursue? That's kind of up to you. I wouldn't recommend going, crazy on the SMART goals, saying, I'm just going to change every single thing about my life, about my fitness journey today. I would start small. I would start with, let's do my overarching goal. What is my main objective as far as my fitness and health is related? And then I would make 1, maybe 2, probably 1 SMART goal. That's the cool thing too, is like, if you find that it's actually not that difficult for you to be keeping up on your SMART goals, on the one goal you made, come a week or 2, or maybe a month from now, add another one in, make another SMART goal. It's completely up to you, right? But the point of a SMART goal is to set a goal that's like, it has all of these metrics attached to it, and it's extremely relevant to where it becomes like almost a step by, like, you know the exact steps to achieve it, right? Because you only have until this amount of time. It's very specific. I mean, you have to do this amount of something to achieve the goal. So the point of a SMART goal is to like actualize your objectives, if that makes sense. And it's up to you how many of those you want to pursue. I would recommend one. So we kind of just went through this, but your first actionable steps: write down your goal. Well, I should have said, I should have put another bullet in front of this that says write down your objectives and then create a SMART goal based on those objectives. And then we could get into write down what that goal is. Write it down exactly as you would say it, verbatim. So however it comes out of your mouth, write that down, because you want all the details, right? And as soon as you do that, include a date. Be sure that you get that timely from SMART, right? That timely aspect, because a goal that you just write down is only an idea. But as soon as you put a date down, now it's like, oh, well, this is an actual goal that I have to achieve by this time, right? It gives yourself a sense of pressure, which is a good thing, actually. Stress is, in moderation, a good thing to be achieving. But include a date, create a plan of attack. So it's great to have the goal. And I think if you stay tuned for the rest of these lessons, it will help you with the last 3 points here, being create a plan of attack, implement an action tracker, follow the plan, record your steps. We have lessons that include points on all of these to come. This is lesson 2, so throughout the next 8. And if you can follow those with pinpoint attention, then it'll set you up well to be able to create yourself a plan of attack. But for now, your first actionable steps: understanding how to set an objective, how to base the goals for yourself off of your objective, and then move forward. I think you guys should be well equipped to do that by now. But it will be important to not just let that goal sit, but to create yourself a plan of attack that you're going to go forward with, so that you actually have day by day steps to achieve your goal. And then, of course, you want to write down what it is you've been doing, because a lot of times, we create the goal, we create the plan of attack, and then a week later we found we haven't done anything. And you look back in your tracker. That's kind of a good way to be like, oh, maybe I could have fit in more steps towards my plan of attack this week than I actually implemented. And just keep going with the plan. And, just record everything you do. Record small wins, record small losses. Record it all, because, it's a good reminder for you to look back and be like, and it's actually a good, like, pace setter as well. So, like, if you realize it's taken too long to do these things, or it's not taking enough time to do these things, not taking enough time, you know what I'm trying to say, then you can change it going forward. So with that, bottom line, just know where you're going. We don't want to be dealing with frequent holdups. We want to prevent our stagnation. If you don't know what stagnation means, it means just staying still, not making any progress, not going backwards necessarily, but not making progress. Frustration. You want to have set expectations for yourself. You want to give yourself something to work toward. That's just like one of my favorite principles for life anyways. Like, too many people nowadays have nothing worth their time to be giving effort to. And I think that's just a waste of potential. It's a waste of your time, honestly. So give yourself something to work towards. And a bottom line on this bottom line slide is that consistency is more important, more effective than perfection. Where the goal is not, to be this perfect person that hits all of your goals, that hits the gym every single day. Unless that's part of your plan, right? But the goal is not perfection. And this is applicable to the rest of the principles that we're going to teach you in the whole course for all stages in Power Playbook. But for fitness specifically, be consistent. Don't focus so much on being perfect. And with that, I believe that rounds out, and we will see you guys in lesson 3.